Good morning, students. Good morning, students. Education. Today's topic is education is an investment in economic terms. What is the education investment is? This is the introduction is about the topic investments in education pay off in the form of higher future earnings and differences in educational entertainments explain a significant fraction of the adult variation in wages, incomes, and other outcomes, but what determines a child's educational success? Most studies point to family background as the primary factor. But why does background matter? While many aspects are no doubt important, research increasingly implicates health as a potentially major factor. The importance of health for educational and earnings suggests that if family background affects child health, then poor child health may in turn affect education and future economic status. Return and next is the objectives of the topics. After going through this topic, you should be able to describe the decision making processes in education, outline the theory of human capital and its relationship with economic development, identify and describe the way and means of promoting the formation of human capital. Next objectives are explain the external efficiency of investments in education and training, especially its impact on productivity and earnings of educated people. Describe the production function in education. Describe such aspects of education system as wastage which implying upon internal efficiency of investments in education, and describe proper utilization of resources for educational purpose. And next is the education economics or the economics of education is the study of economic issues relating to education, including the demand for education, the financing and provision of education, and the comparative efficiency of various educational programs and policies. From early works on the relationship between schooling and labor market outcomes for individuals, the field of the economics of education has grown rapidly to cover virtually all areas with linkage to education. This is the education in the investment or education as an investment. Education economic distinguish in addition to physical capital, another form of capital that is no less critical as a means of production, human capital, with investments in human capital, such as education is the human capital is increased expenses as the accumulation of human capital requires investments just as physical capital does. Increased productivity as people gain characteristics that enable them to produce more output and hence return on investment in the form of higher income. Next is investment cost. Investment cost in human capital entail an investment cost just as any investment does. Typically, in European countries, most education expenditure takes the form of government compensation, although some costs are also borne by individual. And next, return to investment. Human capital in the form of education shares many characteristics with physical capital. Both require an investment to create, and once created, both have economic value. And this is the physical capital earn a return because people are willing to pay to use a price of physical capital work as it allows them to produce more output. To measure the productive value of physical capital, we can simply measure how much of a return it commands in the market. In the case of human capital, calculating returns is more complicated. After all, we cannot separate education from the person to see how much it return for. To get around this problem, the returns to human capital are generally inferred from differences in wages among people with different levels of education. This is the return on education. Next is effect on productivity. What is the effect on productivity? Economy wide, the effect of human capital is capital on incomes has been estimated to be rather significant. 65% of wages paid in developed countries in payments to human capital and only 35% to raw labor. The higher productivity of well educated workers is one of the factors that explain higher GDPs and therefore higher incomes in developed country. And the strong correlation between GDP and education is clearly visible among the countries of the world. It is less clear, however, how much of a high GDP is explained by education. After all, it is also possible that rich countries can simply afford more education. And next, what is the demand of education? Demand of for education is first of all liberal approaches. Liberal approaches, the dominant model of the demand for education is based on human capital theory. The central idea is that undertaking education is investment in the acquisition of skills and knowledge which will increase earnings or provide long term benefits, such as an aspiration of literature, sometimes referred to as cultural capital. An increase in human capital can follow technological process progress as knowledgeable employees are in demand due to the need for their skills, whether it be in understanding the production process or in operating machines. Studies from 1958 attempted to calculate the returns from additional schooling. The person increased in income acquired through an additional year of schooling. That is, the additional year of schooling, the later results attempt to allow for different return across persons or by level of education. This is the demand of education. And next is financing and provision. Financing and provision in most countries, school education is predominantly financed and provided by governments. Public funding and provision also play a major role in higher education. Although there is wide agreement on the principle that education, at least at school level, should be financed mainly by governments, there is considerable debate over the desirable extent of public provision of education. Supporters of public education argue that universal public provision promotes equality of opportunity and social coherence. And next is financing and pre-primary education financing. Pre-primary education financing is compared to other area of globally comparable data on pre-primary education financing remain scarce. While much of existing non-formal and private programs may not be fully accounted for, it can be deduced from the level of provision that pre-primary financing remains inadequate, especially when considered against expected benefits. Globally, pre-primary education accounts for the lowest proportion of the total public expenditure on education, in spite of the much documented positivity, positive impact of equality, early childhood care, and education on later learning and other social outcomes. And that next is education production functions. Education production function is that first is the annual growth rate in real GDP per capita versus scores on tests of student achievement, both adjusted and for GDP per capita. And next is an education production function is an application of the economic concept of a production function to the field of education. It relates various inputs affecting students, learning, schools, families, peers, neighborhoods, etc. To measured outputs including subsequent labor market, success, college, attendance, graduation rates, and most frequently standardized test scores. And this is the production function, a large number of successive studies, increasingly involving economists, produced inconsistent results about the impact of school resources on student performance, leading to considerable controversy in policy discussion. The interpretation of the various studies has been very controversial, in part because the findings have directly influenced policy debates. Two separate lines of study have been particularly widely debated. The overall question bonds of schools are likely to produce higher achievement. The money does not matter debate has entered into legislative debates and court consideration of school finance systems. Additionally, policy discussion about class size reduction, heightened academic study of the relationship of class size and achievement. This is the education production function of this topic. And next is education is an investment. The importance of knowledge and learning been recognized since the beginning of time. Plato wrote, if a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life. This is the same thing of the Plato says the education is an investment is it is important, but it was really the Nobel winning economists that put the argument of the education as investment. T.W. Seculates argued that investment in education explains growth, and Gray Becker gave us the human capital theory in the investment of education is an investment. And next, in a nutshell, the human capital theory posits that investing in education has a payoff in terms of higher wages. Moreover, the theory and empirical estimates are backed up by current science, as explained by James Heckman. And Neuralgius tells us that learning can continue, not advance age. The relative cost and benefits to investment in older persons compared to younger person differs. Investments in more able workers at any age generate higher returns than investments in less able workers, and ability is formed at early ages. This is the investment of education investment. Next is skills demanded by the labor market are changing. One of the reason for the change in the returns pattern is the race between technology and education as labor markets adjust to automation. In this way, in this world, the ability of workers to compare is handicapped by the poor performance of education systems. In most developing countries, technological change and global competition demand the mastery of competition and the acquisitions of new skill for many. And next is country can compete and succeed. To promote success in today's labor market, one need to invest early and then invest in the relevant skills. See below. Above all, countries need to invest smartly by promoting attention to the three A's. What is the three A's? Autonomy, accountability, assessment. They need to pay attention to teachers, early childhood development, and culture. And next is its importance to focus on result. Education systems that do well prepare children early on reform continuously and use information for improvement and accountability. Information for accountability works as do higher stake assessment, but so do low stakes assessments. Either way, test based accountability is cost effective. Even if accountability costs were 10 times as large as they are, they would still not amount to 1% of the cost of public education. And next is expand opportunities, but pay attention to equity. Countries need to improve quality, strive for challenge excellence, and expand opportunities based on efficiency and equity. This means ensuring that disadvantaged youth enroll and succeed. And next, while the return to schooling are high or overage, result vary. There must be better information for such a student who don't perform well, and greater support networks to help them take on the challenges of competing their tertiary level education. More information will also benefit students and families from disadvantaged backgrounds who tend to overestimate benefits and underestimate costs. Next is education is truly one of the most powerful instrument for reducing poverty, inequality, and it sets for the foundation for sustained economic growth. And next is the point development of human resources. The major aim of educational investment is the development of human resources or human capital. Almost every society makes a virtuous effort for human resource development, which constitutes the ultimate basis for generating the wealth of nations. Capital and natural resources are the passive factors of production, where human beings are the active agents who accumulate capital, exploit natural resources, and build social, economic, and political organizations with a view to promoting national development. And next, obviously, if a country is unable to develop the skills and knowledge of its people and to utilize them effectively in various socio-economic activities, it would be unable to develop anything else. It is the development of the human resources of a nation, not its capital nor even its material resources alone, that ultimately determine the character and pace of economic and social development, vitally necessary for enhancing the quality of the life of the people. And next, the point, education and earning. Earning, which is an indicator justifying investment, is closely related to education due to the fact that educated workers earn higher wages or salaries than those who are illiterate or unskilled or have lower educational qualification. The relationship between education and earning is important from the point of view if distribution of income and wealth among a cross section of people in countries with fluctual characteristics, where inequality in income is generally very high. It is very difficult to ensure the even distribution of income by way of transferring resources from the have to the have not due to the policy constraints arising from socio-political considerations. In such situations, equalization of educational opportunities helps the poor and deprived sections of society to improve the level of their educational standards, skill, and training, thereby increasing the prospects of employability, higher earning, etc. Education is thus used as a major instrument to ensure the even distribution of the benefits of development among different socio-economic groups without taking resource to direct transfer of income and wealth, which is attempt might arouse the resentment of the high income group of people. Moreover, an idea of the nature and extent to the relationship between different types and levels of education and the earning from different professional categories is of crucial importance in the decision making process, especially with regard to the optimus and efficient allocation of resources. This is mainly because the higher level earning reflects the higher degree of productivity of educated person. It is, however, important to note that apart from the education of workers, the patterns of wages and salaries reflect the influence of many other factors. The individual's natural ability, family background, and other personal characteristics also determine education as investment. The pattern of the earning differentiation. And next, earning profiles. Earning profile is, as discussed above, the level of education that an individual's processes. An individual processes in, on, from, form, or the other is positively correlated with the amount of personal earning. Age, sex, race, native ability, social class background, place of residence, branch of employment, occupation, and on the job training are all important factors which have a significant bearing on the earning profile. In earning profile of these, however, the influence of the number of years of schooling completed successfully is the most significant, which that additional years spent on education rise the lifetime earning of people. We have evidences on the earning functions and path analysis of the effect of an individual's background and characteristics on occupational attainment and earnings that indicate that a large part of the variance is explained by the index of education. The number of years of successful education is the best predictor of the even natural occupational status and earning of an entrant into the labor force market. Entry for a person who successfully complete the necessary schooling into the sector of the modern labor market has a, has a higher productivity probability of getting well paid urban jobs than one who does not have access to an adequate level of education. What is the level of education is the first of all the average earning of all workers, both highly educated and illiterate, increase with age up a maximum in mid career, and the curve then either flatten or begin to decline. The higher next is the higher level of educational attainment, the steeper the rate of increase of earnings, and in most cases, the higher the initial earning of workers at the start of their working life, and higher their emolument towards the end of their services. The workers with higher levels of education reach their maximum earning capacity faster, and their level of earnings at retirement is also higher as compared to those who are less educated. And next is earning differentials. The income derived from the sale of the labor services is determined by a variety of factors such as social, economic, political, geographical, or personal train, as it is a psychological fact that each individual is different from another. The economic fact is that the earning capacity also differs from individual to individual. As discussed in the differences in educational attainments and age directly affect the earning capacity of an individual, but they are not the only factors that influence the relative earnings. And that is the next, earning and productivity. Education has usually been considered an investment in human capital. The basic assumption behind this is that education rises the productivity of workers, and that the higher earning of the educated reflect the value of their product. And the most obviously way in which education arises productivity is by imparting knowledge and skills which makes a worker more efficient and hence more valuable in the labor market than the less educated workers. If earnings reflect differences in marginal productivity, then the extra earnings of the educated measure their higher contribution to the output, the marginal productivity of the workers in the additional to the total output which is achieved by employing one additional worker. In this context, the economic theory suggests that the relative prices of goods and services and the relative wages and salaries of workers reflect their relativity, scrating, and hence the productivity of the workers, provided, of course, that the market, including the labor market, is competitive. And this is if market are perfectly competitive, then earnings provide a completely satisfactory measures of productivity. However, if there exist some imperfections in the degree of competition, the earnings will still reflect differences in productivity, provided the focus forces of demand the supply ensure that scarce factors commanded a higher price than the plentiful factors of production, since highly educated workers are more scarce than the unskilled and uneducated workers. They become considered and are paid more in terms of average wages and salaries. And this is the topic, end of the topic. And next, the references of this topic. These are the references of this topic. You are more help in these topic. You related references is there. And next, the end of this topic, we will discuss MCQ questions. First question is, if there is an increase in interest rates, then the fixed interest rate of the corporate bond will return to corporation, decrease in value, remain unchanged, increase in value. And what is the answer? Answer is decrease in value. The next question is, investments would score high only if there is a protection to real estate, preferred stock, government bonds, common stock. The answer is C, government bonds. This is the answer. Next question is, Goal of the pure market economy is to meet the desire of consumers, companies, workers, the government. What is the desire of this company? Answer is scarcity. Scarcity of the answer is the question. And sorry, next is, what does the law of demand mean? As the quantity demanded rises, the price rises. As the price rises, the quantity demanded rises. As the price rises, the quantity demand falls. As the supply rises, the demand rise. The answer of this question is, as the price rises, the quantity demanded falls. This is the answer. And this question, the goal of a poor market economy is to meet the desire of consumers, companies, workers, the government. The answer is consumer is the answer of this question. And next question is, what is the main economy problem faced by the society? Unemployment, inequality, poverty, scarcity. The main problem faced by the society is scarcity. And next question is, what does capitalism refer to? The use of market, government ownership of capital, private ownership of capital goods, private ownership of home and cars. Answer is private ownership of capital goods. And next question is, what do you mean by the mixed economy? Modern and traditional industries, public and private sectors, foreign and domestic investments, commercial and subsistent farming, and answer is public and private sectors. And next is, what do you mean by the demand of a commodity? Desire of the community, need for the community, equality demanded of the commodity, quantity that consumer are able and willing to buy the various prices during any particular period of time. At the last option is the answer, quantity that consumer are able and willing to buy at various prices during any particular period of time. And next question is, what do you mean by the supply of goods? First is stock available for sale, total stock in the warehouse, the actual production of the goods, quantity of the goods offered for sale at a particular price per unit of time. What is the answer? Answer is quantity of the goods offered for sale at a particular price per unit of time. And last question is, which of the following is the relation that the law of demand defines income and price of a commodity, price and quantity of a commodity, income and quantity demanded, and last is quantity demanded and quantity supplied. Answer is price and quantity of a commodity is the answer of this question. And that's all about the topic. Thank you.